Well, what a sight that is. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Nürburgring. And it is the Porsche Carrera Cup that is taking to the track, and very much looking forward to race 9 in the Carrera Cup for 2017 here at the Eifel region, which is really rather beautiful, but which really rather throws up some incredible weather conditions. Alongside me is Alex Torrell, former Carrera Cup racer. We've seen everything today, bar snow and sleet.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting day with the showers coming in on and off the whole day. We see now it's raining again, so I think we'll have a fully wet race for Carrera Cup this evening.
It's the shorter of the two races for the Carrera Cup across this weekend, just 25 minutes. And of course, drivers out there racing, and they will be racing next week and at the Sachsenring as well, as their championship comes to a conclusion. Dennis Olsen leads the championship on 161 points from Nick Yellerly on 130 points. And in qualifying, it was Christopher Zoechling who did a fantastic job in qualifying, putting the car P1 for both races 1 and 2, Alice.
Yeah, we saw the qualifying, but usually, like we are already used to seeing Carrera Cup, not almost between P1 and P10, and not even a second difference.
So Dennis Olsen is leading the championship after 8 of 14 races. The Norwegian having scored 161 points so far. P2 in the championship, Nick Yellerly, 31 points behind Dennis Olsen. P3 in the championship goes the way of Christopher Zoechling. He is some 3 points behind Olsen, but there are still 150 points available in this year's season. Tricky conditions in qualifying with changing conditions, and 35-minute session. It's tricky conditions for the drivers and also for the spectators, but Dennis Olsen set a 1:31.93 for today's race, which that time only gives him P4 on the grid. Christian Engelhardt, very experienced racer, was 1/100th faster than Olsen, and therefore he takes P3. Nick Yellerly set the second fastest lap, being 100th faster than Christian Engelhardt, so he goes P2. And then it's pole position for both races this weekend. Christopher Zoechling, the Austrian, set a 1:30 exactly and was 1/10 quicker than Nick Yellerly. So Christopher Zoechling doing a very, very good job in qualifying and putting the car P1 for races 1 and 2. Now, the German actor Richie Müller was performing well. He's starting from the end of the field, but he was only 5 seconds behind the professional race drivers like Zoechling, Yellerly, and Dennis Olsen. So the scene set then for a good 25-minute race, and there is Richie Müller then in the number 56 car, one of a number of new drivers that's joining in the Carrera Cup here at the Nürburgring. And just as the cars make it to the grid, the rain starts to fall down once again. So 25-minute race for race 1, 35-minute race for race 2. And Christopher Zoechling then has given us pole position for both races. Christopher, who lives now in the UK, and really, really nice guy, some 7.5 foot tall, and he will be going from pole position. It's the best qualifying we've seen from Christopher, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, definitely. He's been always in the top position during the whole season, but he's never been on the front row, and now he managed to score 2 front rows when we see now Nick Yellerly in second position.
Nick Yellerly then, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, going into the final stages of the championship, as I mentioned, with Sachsenring to come next week, and then the season finale at Hockenheim. So Christian Engelhardt, another one of those hugely experienced drivers, knows his way around these Porsche Carrera Cup cars just a little bit, does Christian Engelhardt, going from P3 on the grid. And will this have knocked Dennis Olsen's confidence a bit, the Porsche Junior in the final year of his junior, a Conrad Motorsport driver, of course. P4, who's been so used to being right in the front row, hasn't he?
Yeah, but it's like always, you see the difference between P1 and P10. It's always a second, and between Socialin and Olsen, it's not even a tenth or a little bit more than a tenth. So we are talking about nothing. It's so compact and so hard.
Good qualifying from Zayed Ashkanani then, who goes from P5 on the grid, and alongside Ashkanani, it is another hugely experienced Porsche racer, Mikael Ammermuller, that will be going from P6 ahead of Larry Ten Voorde, Ryan Cullen, David Kolkman, and then Wolf will be going from P10 on the grid, and Gabriele Piana not making it into the first 5 rows, going from P11. So Richie Muller then right at the back of the pack. Good to see him back out on track once again. And number 55 car then driven by Pierre-Yves Parquet for the Speed Lover racing team. So wipers on full. Is the rain abating a little? Maybe so, but definitely wet conditions, that's for sure. And the 25-minute race for the Carrera Cup Deutschland is about to get underway with their formation lap, and then the cars back into their grid boxes. And Nick Yellerly then, P2 in the Drivers' Championship, former single-seater star, of course. Nick Yellerly from the UK, still doing an awful lot of simulator work. He's Nick Yellerly, thoroughly nice guy, and really finding his feet in the Carrera Cup Championship this season. So the cars were away. Zoechling then gives it a footful and sees the back end step out. Now, these are truly really powerful cars, aren't they? And in wet conditions like this, Alex, you've raced them. You've raced in conditions like this. Difficult to control, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really tricky conditions. I mean, the Porsches are cars that are really special on the wet. They're especially to drive, and they're also really fun. And to be honest, they're pretty good because they have really good rear stability, because the engine, of course, is in the rear.
Yes.
So it gives you a lot of confidence when you can go power down, but you need to be straight. As soon as you have the car a little bit sideways, then it always starts to spin or try to go sideways. So you need to take care. But anyway, definitely a good fun car on the wet. I enjoy every time I drive this car in the wet.
And when you're sideways, of course, you're losing momentum forward, so it's not quick. Starting grid then, Zoechling, Yellerly, Engelhardt, Olsen, Ashkanani, Ammermuller, Larry Ten Voorde, P7, Ryan Cullen, David Kolkman and Tony Wolf then occupying the first 5 rows before we find Gabriele Piana, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair going from P12, John Schutt-Starder, Wolfgang Triller, Marius Nacken, Thomas Preining, Carlos Rivas, Henrik Skog, Stefan Raykop, Philip Saga, Wolf Natan, Peter Schufen, Ewan Taylor, another one of the new joiners, and then it's Parquet then, and Richie Muller, the Deutsche Post by Project One car driven by Richie Muller. Not the first time he's driven in the Carrera Cup, and thoroughly enjoys it, and good to welcome him back here to the really rather wet Nürburgring. The 3.629 sprint layout that we use here at the Nürburgring. Of course, the Carrera Cup cars have been here previously at the Nürburgring, where they drove on the GP circuit when they were here as part of the Porsche Sports Club event here at the Nürburgring. In fact, that was their last time out. Before that, it was Norrisring. Still to come, Sachsenring and Hockenheim, as I mentioned. The cars all making their way through the NGK chicane now before we get this 25-minute race underway. Christopher Zoechling making his way to his grid box. So too Nick Yellerly and Christian Engelhardt and Dennis Olsen just out of the left of our picture there before we see Ashkanani and Mikael Ammermuller, Larry Ten Voorde, Ryan Cullen, David Kolkman and Tony Wolf then occupying the first 5 rows of the Carrera Cup Deutschland grid. So we've mentioned the, as Alex is pointing out to me, that the car's sticking out, the tyres really sticking out at the bottom of the car there, and that's negative camber, isn't it?
Yeah, see, quite a big, I would say big negative camber in the car of Christopher Zoechling, so quite impressive. We see when he was going on the power, tires were lifting, and I would say not even a centimeter of the rubber was touching the ground. But
two championships, of course. The Drivers' Championship for A, which is Pro Drivers, Dennis Olsen and Nick Yellerly, the top two in that. And then the B Championship for Gentlemen Amateur Drivers, being led by Wolfgang Triller. And Carlos Rivas is P2 in that championship. And there's a collection of wipers all going from left to right as the cars sit. As we wait for Richie Muller to occupy his grid box, and once he's done that, we should get the green flag. Indeed we do, from the marshal at the rear. The start sequence can get underway. The lights are to the left-hand side of the screen for you. Expect Sochling to dive to the inside to try and protect that inside line, and Larry Ten Border does not get away. David Kolkman good in avoidance, and sure enough, Sochling does move to the inside to try and protect that inside line, and there's a little bit of contact between him and Nick Yellerly. But no harm done, I think, as they go through into turn number 2. Dennis Olsen side by side with Mikael Ammermuller. As the cars make their way and sheepishly make their way through the first sequence of turns here, because it is oh so slippery out there. Christopher Sochling leading the pack as they come through, and everyone jostling for position. So Sochling then, he has got the advantage of being the front runner and therefore has no spray. His visibility is not affected at all. Dennis Olsen trying to move up the order if he can. He's got Ammermuller right alongside him, and Ammermuller, Dennis Olsen really fighting there, and a little bit further behind, you can see Christian Engelhardt in the number 5 car, slots in behind Dennis Olsen now in the familiar Conrad Motorsport colours of the duck blue car of Dennis Olsen. So there is Wolf Natan, one of the B category drivers in car number 9 then. And there is our race leader through the NGK chicane for the first time of asking. Dennis Olsen almost shortcutting it, and the rest of the cars, including Marius Nacken and Wolfgang Triller and Thomas Preining, all coming through. There's an awful lot of drivers there taking a different line through the chicane than I've seen before, Alex.
Yeah, pretty new line. Really good start from Mikael Ammermuller. He made up to 3 places, starting from P6, now it's P3. Then it's Olsen kept his 4th place, and then we saw Engelhardt losing 3 places, and Nick Yellerly in the front row maintaining as it was.
You could see as the cars made their way downhill into turn number 1 just how that visibility was really compromised. So the order is Sochling, Yellerly, Ammermuller, Olsen, Engelhardt, then it's Ashkanani, Kolkman, Wolf, Cullen, and Gabriella Piana is into P10. Of course, unique scoring system in the Carrera Cup, where you get points all the way down to 15th place, as Nick Yellerly is really putting the pressure on Christopher Sochling now. So Christopher Sochling, as we see, Wolf Natan limping the car back. Wolf Natan with a problem, and I think there may have been contact, because it looks like the front is low on one side for Wolf Natan, the Huber Racing by Trispar car. Maybe though, looking at it from that angle, maybe not so. So Wolf Natan manages to get going again, does he? So perhaps there wasn't a problem with the car. And around there goes Thomas Preining. So Preining has spun out, and this is what caused Wolf Natan a spin there. And as you were saying, it's very easy for that to happen once the car is going sideways, because of the rear engine, because of the weight distribution. The car almost pulls you into a spin, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not easy car to control, and you need to take care how you apply the throttle. You need to be really gentle applying the throttle on the car, so you control it to the perfection, the wheel spin and the traction and the acceleration from the car. You see, then it's also putting pressure into Mikael Ammermuller. Mikael Ammermuller rather goes a little bit farther outside away line, more to the outside, carrying a little bit more momentum. Then it also prefers to go a little bit tight. Tries now here the switchback. Might works. Yeah, he has the inside line, but maybe Ammermuller can carry a little bit more momentum through the outside. But now with a good line for Dennis Olsen, who could maybe do the switchback at the exit of corner number 4. Yeah, he gets a little bit better traction. Let's see if he can make. No, it's not there yet. This also gives the chance to Christian Engelhardt to get really close to Mikael Ammermuller and Dennis Olsen. A little love tap there from Dennis Olsen on the back of the Mikael Ammermuller car. They're all fighting over this place at the moment. It's Mikael Ammermuller that's currently P3. The gap from Dennis Olsen to Christian Engelhardt is just 2/10. You can see how close they are, but it's a real fight for P3. It's 3 for P3 at the moment, really, between Ammermuller, Olsen, and Christian Engelhardt, who's trying to buy into this battle as well. They make their way down the back straight then, which does have a kink in the middle of it, but that's taken absolutely flat. And I'll tell you what, Christopher Zoechling is not being allowed to get away at all by Nick Yellerly. Nick Yellerly really sticking with him as Olsen once again takes that really extraordinary line through the chicane, and that's nearly a shortcut, isn't it?
I would say so. I think it's not mean to drive there, so we'll see if he does it often enough. Probably he will get some warning from race direction.
Yellerly now closer than he's ever been to Zoechling. He goes to takes a look at the outside and will try and get the switch back now and get underneath Christopher Zoechling, but Zoechling makes the car wide enough to prevent him from being able to do that. But Yellerly on the inside now, but if Zoechling has got the momentum, that becomes the inside for the next turn, and sure enough, he's able to block out Nick Yellerly. But you almost get a feeling of when, not if, Yellerly is going to make this move on Christopher Zoechling. He definitely looks to be quicker at the moment.
Yeah, we need to take care because this small situation now allowed Mikael Ammermuller to get close to them. So we'll have now a furious fight for the top 3, and for sure if they get too much between each other, then for sure Dennis Olsen will also close back, and Christian Engelhardt as well. So we will have a top 5 fight for P1, P2. Oh, massive sideways from Christopher Zoechling out of corner number 6.
So expect Yellerly to line him up now as they head down the back straight around the back of the paddock here at the Nürburgring. Zoechling through that kink. Nick Yellerly as well, heading towards the chicane. Yellerly once again very close. Zoechling deliberately in the middle of the road, goes to the outside to give him the perfect entry through the NGK chicane, and it's there that if Nick Yellerly can get an excellent exit, he can get to the inside of Zoechling, but that has been denied. Around the Coca-Cola turn they go. And for my money, Nick Yellerly not quite as close to Christopher Zoechling as they cross the timing line now. It's 2/10, 3/10 between the two of them. Once again, Nick Yellerly all over the back of the Christopher Zoechling car. They run into turn 1. Zoechling there is quite deliberately putting the car in the middle, isn't he? So that affords very little opportunity for Nick Yellerly to find a way past, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. He's making his car as wide as he can, so not braking fully in the inside to don't be in the most, let's say, slow in the slow line, but keeping the car towards the middle, so he has a good momentum in the corner, but that making Nick Yellerly lives hard to get him past either on the left or the right side.
Olsen continuing to pile the pressure on Mikael Ammermuller for P3 at the moment. There they are. The 87 car driven by the hugely experienced Mikael Ammermuller. The Porsche Junior Dennis Olsen in the Conrad Motorsport colours is currently P4, but desperately wants to wrestle away that P3 place from the car ahead of him, which is Mikael Ammermuller, and just waiting really to take advantage if these two should start fighting. Running in P5 is the number 5 car of Christian Engelhardt, who lost out at the start. So the cars scream past that camera point as the sun begins to shine here at Nürburgring, not for the first time today. Olsen up the inside of Mikael Ammermuller. They're side by side. There's contact between the two of them. Olsen takes his familiar line through the chicane, and, well, Mikael Ammermuller lives to fight another lap because he was able to keep his position ahead of Dennis Olsen.
Well, we need to see the replay because both cars, we'll see now, both of them cut the chicane, one more than the other.
Yeah. Now, there is an argument there that Ammermuller was advantaged by that, as around goes the 57 car of Ewan Taylor for Conrad Motorsport.
Oh, the wind doesn't look...
damage at the back.
Looks like he clipped the wall.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying about Ammermuller, was able to just advantage himself a little bit from that. He didn't change a place, of course, but he, just for a moment, was a couple of further tenths ahead of Dennis Olsen. Once again, Yellerly all over the back of Christopher Zoechling. Now will try to dive to the inside if Zoechling gives him room to be able to do that, but he doesn't. means Nick Yellerly is getting frustrated behind Christopher Sochling, and Mikael Ammermuller getting ever closer to those two as well as he tries to shake off the Conrad Motorsport car of Dennis Olsen. So Sochling from Yellerly, and here a replay of the start.
Yeah, we see Christian Engelhardt was a bit slow on the reaction to the lights, while on the other way, the Mikael Ammermuller was really good, really quick.
Yeah.
Quick jump out of the lights, using well the traction of the car, and made it in really braking late into corner one, using that farther outside line, which worked perfectly, and managed to go from P6 to P3.
Thomas Breining running very wide right at the start of the race then, and here comes Yellerly once again all over the back of Sochling, but now all over the back of Yellerly is Mikael Ammermuller as well. Little tap from Nick Yellerly on the Christopher Sochling car allows him to get perhaps alongside. Sochling tries to make it very, very wide. Yellerly, it's a long way around the outside there, particularly when grip is compromised, and it is in these conditions. But Yellerly is having to think about defending from Mikael Ammermuller, who gets alongside the Yellerly car now. So he's really in this awful position, isn't he, in P2, where he's trying to attack Christopher Sochling ahead of him, but also having to defend against Mikael Ammermuller.
Yeah, exactly. It's a situation you need to look at front, then you start also looking a bit to the mirrors to see what's doing the car behind you, in this case Mikael Ammermuller, so it's not the most comfortable position. So either he has to focus on Mikael Ammermuller and defend, or the best possibility of this I will do is just continue attacking Christopher Sochling and try to get past him. We focus a little bit farther back down. Ricky Muller now.
He's running P22 for the Richie Muller car. And back to this.
Oh, Nick Yellerly got past Christopher Sochling.
He has got past him. Well, I said it was a question of when, not if. And here comes Dennis Olsen on Mikael Ammermuller now. As they head towards the NGK chicane, we'll get a replay of when Yellerly did make that move pass on, or work on Christopher Sochling, but he's now leading the race. So we have a change in the P1 position, but Sochling is fighting back here. He's got the inside line, but the outside line through the Coca-Cola turn works better in the wet because you can carry more momentum. So Yellerly, P1, Sochling, P2, and under pressure from Mikael Ammermuller now.
So Sochling turning on the high beams of the car, as usual. A little bit of power oversteer for Dennis Olsen. And a bit of a shame because Christian Engelhardt, due that Mikael Ammermuller and Dennis Olsen cut a bit the chicane, he lost a little bit the momentum and the rhythm with the group. Let's see if he can catch them back.
So Yellerly dived to the inside, and there was
a gap.
Yeah, there was a car's width there, wasn't there? So Yellerly was able to take advantage of that, and now you can see he clearly is quicker, because although Sochling is having to defend from Ammermuller, Ammermuller likewise having to defend from Dennis Olsen. So it's 3 for P2 at the moment, and around is the Thomas Breining car, not for the first time, but this time with significant damage to the front of the car. Well, of course.
See if he's not losing any coolant or liquid. This might.
Marius Nacken, and was there contact between the two here? Well, yes, there was. And that sent Thomas Breining round. As I say, he's been out wide, certainly, but significant damage to the front end of that car.
Oh, we see, look, the coolant of the car liquid.
So the car will overheat now, won't it?
Yeah, for sure the car will overheat, but this liquid is on the racetrack at the moment. This is not like oil, but it's really similar, and with the water might you need to be careful because it might slide. So if you don't know, you can't, especially with the water, you cannot see anything, and all of a sudden there is way less grip on the corner than what you are used to.
Okay. Under investigation, the incident between car number 14 and car number 2. So that is the incident between Marius Nacken and Thomas Breining.
Yeah.
So some super slow-mos of Christopher Sochling, who's continuing to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle here as Ammermuller goes to the inside. And again, Sochling has got the extra momentum, hasn't he? And that makes Ammermuller a little bit vulnerable now to Dennis Olsen. So Dennis Olsen trying to go, but now Sochling runs really, really wide, and that opens up the opportunity to both Ammermuller and Dennis Olsen. And Christian Engelhardt may be able to get past Sochling as well. Sure enough, there is Engelhardt So Zojling losing out on a huge number of places there, some 3 places. That basically was an error, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He ran really wide, probably he locked or he missed the brake into corner number 3. He ran really wide and opened the door completely for Mikael Ammermuller and Dennis Olsen. And obviously Kistan Engelhardt was coming behind and took advantage of it.
Of course, the one that's really enjoying it at the moment is Nick Yellerly, because he's some 1.6 seconds up the road, because as they've been fighting, he's been able to concentrate on screaming up the road. Here it is again in replay then. Now, I think it was a reaction to seeing Ammermuller on the inside. He went to turn in and then realised that he wasn't going to be able to make that because the Ammermuller car was there. That caused him to run much, much wider than he planned to. He was then compromised, wasn't he, for the next
Totally. We see now the rainbow shot.
So there is Yellerly. Then it's Ammermuller, and Dennis Olsen is P3 with Engelhardt, Zojling, Ashkanani, Larry Tenvorda, who's quietly been going about his job and is up to P7. Then it's Ryan Cullen, Tony Wolff, and Gabriella Piana is P10. Rest of the B category drivers is Wolfgang Triller, who's in P12 in the race overall, as Dennis Olsen now once again continues to pile on the pressure on Mikael Ammermuller. Now, Ammermuller, with his huge experience in these Porsche cars, is someone that you would think that won't fall to the pressure of Dennis Olsen. Olsen trying to go the long way around the outside. If he makes this stick, that will be the move of the day. And to be fair, he has done it. Great driving from Dennis Olsen all the way around the outside. And look, he's having to control the car sideways. And that was a good move on Mikael Ammermuller. He really did that well.
Yeah, perfectly. He carries more momentum through the outside, probably a little bit more of grip. And he managed, he did the overtook maneuver perfectly. Now we'll see if he has rhythm enough to catch back Nick Yellerly, which I think might be difficult because Nick is running pretty fast. We see now, okay, fastest sector 1 from Dennis Olsen. Still 8 laps to go, so I think it's not in the side yet.
No, and Nick Yellerly's got a margin of 2.7 seconds over Dennis Olsen. Incidentally, car number 26 has got a time penalty of 5 seconds going to be added. That was for leaving the track and gaining an advantage at turn number 9. That's the car of the Race Union Huber car of Ryan Cullen, who is currently running in P8. So 5 seconds going to be added to his time, and that's going to put him way down the order in comparison to where he is currently. So there it is, Yellerly. That's a mistake, a big mistake, and that will have cost him some time. It was a good save.
And then you see how fast can go Ron. If he put up, maybe go a little bit more on the power, he could have maybe even lost the car and spin. So definitely you need to take a lot of care in these tricky situations.
There was the Larry Tenvorda car then that is running in P6. And Olsen and Ammermuller almost sticking together. Christopher Zojling, who's the big loser since the start of this race, with 7 laps remaining in this shorter of the 2 Porsche Carrera Cup Germany races, having to control the car sideways virtually at every turn as the power is plied on, and the back end of the car just wants to break away and escape. So here comes Nick Yellerly up towards the NGK chicane. 7 laps in which Dennis Olsen has got to try and reel in that 3.3 second margin that he has, or Nick Yellerly has, over Dennis Olsen. I think it's going to be a big ask in the 6.5 minutes that we've got remaining in this race.
Yeah, I think it might be hard, especially they are lapping so close together. In the last lap, we'll see now when they come through.
Well, it's gone from 3.3.
Yeah, same lap time in the last lap for both drivers, so the margin is still 3.3 seconds.
Needs to be bringing that down by some tenths, doesn't he, to make any impact. So there is the Ryan Cullen car that's currently running in P8, but bear in mind a time penalty of 5 seconds going to be added to the Ryan Cullen race time. That's going to put him down the order. Gabriella Piana then in P10 to the outside of the Tony Wolff car, and a little bit of contact between the two of them there. which really rather plays into the hands of David Kolkman, who is able to take advantage potentially. So Kolkman there in the number 16 car. So there is David Kolkman right in the middle now, and on the outside of Gabriella Piana as the sun beats down like it's not beaten down all day today.
It's actually, for the visibility, it's quite hard because you have starting to have the sun down.
Yeah.
And this slide and the tarmac is shining, so it's not so easy for the drivers to see, especially when you are driving in direction the sun. You get sort of blind from the sun.
There is Richie Muller then, comfortably running in P22 position, untroubled by anyone in front or behind, just enjoying his time out there on the track as part of the Porsche Carrera Cup race number 1. Of course, he's competing in both the races across this weekend, and a celebrity appearance in the number 56 car. So Jelili Olsen, the gap remains 3.2 seconds. So with just 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this race, then I really rather think that unless Nick Jelili makes another mistake, and we have seen a mistake from him.
Definitely, it's nothing decided yet.
So Richie Muller then in the number 56 car, one of 4 additional drivers into the Carrera Cup Deutschland for this weekend. So there is Jelili, there is Dennis Olsen. They're P1 and P2 in the race, and they're P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship, but the positions are reversed, with Dennis Olsen leading the championship and Nick Jelili P2 in the championship at the moment. So 3.5 minutes as Mikael Ammermuller at the moment is claiming the final podium place, certainly in the A category. The B category being led by Wolfgang Triller, then it's Stefan Rakoff and Ron Schmidt-Stade, who are running P12, P15 and P17 in the race, respectively. So Larry ten Voorde, another one that has decided to somewhat shortcut the chicane and try and get past Christopher Zoechling as he dives to the inside now. So you kind of end up starting an overtake maneuver for either the Coca-Cola turn or indeed turn 1 on the exit of the NGK chicane. And Larry ten Voorde now, as Christopher Zoechling tries to outbrake him, king of the late breakers there, and Christopher Zoechling doing a good job in terms of outbraking Larry ten Voorde. Ten Voorde will now try to get to the inside. There's a little tap between the two of them.
And we see in the last lap, Dennis Olsen almost chip a second away to Nick Jelili. We have only 2 minutes 20 to go. So the difference went from 3.3 to 2.5 seconds.
Right.
Might be a little bit too less time, but if he could have kept this rhythm.
Oh, Larry ten Voorde now the inside almost, but Zoechling with the extra momentum. And this is the fight that's going on for P4 between Christopher Zoechling, who of course started the race pole position. Brilliant job in qualifying. He gets pole position for tomorrow's race as well. Being hounded now by the Project One driver Larry ten Voorde, who is all over the gearbox of the Christopher Zoechling car as they head up towards the NGK chicane. Which way is he going to go? He dives to the outside initially. Zoechling will go to the outside now to give him the perfect entry in. And then, again, like Dennis Olsen, ten Voorde really shortcutting that chicane and now has gone through. Now, we've seen it, and in fairness, we've seen Dennis Olsen do it, and Dennis Olsen has not been penalised for it. So that makes me think that ten Voorde is going to not get penalised for it as well, though he did gain a place.
Yeah, but did he gain? This is the difference. Dennis Olsen was defending, but here we see he was definitely gaining a place. So we see it was with all 4 tires, so that let's say that the left tires over the sausage. So definitely was gaining an advantage.
Well, Zoechling, by playing by the rules, has lost out there, hasn't he? At the
So we'll see what race direction has to say about.
Well, at the moment, nothing.
Nick Jelly blocking a little bit when he's into his final lap.
It is his final lap, and whatever Dennis Olsen can throw at it now, it's going to need a mistake from Nick Yellerly, isn't it, for Dennis Olsen to get on terms, let alone try and get past him. So Nick Yellerly P1, Dennis Olsen P2, Mikael Ammermuller P3, Christian Engelhardt P4, Larry Ten Voorde, Christopher Zoechling, Ashkanani. Bear in mind, Cullen will drop out of the P8 position because he's got a 5-second time penalty to come. And then it's Kolkman and Wolf, Gabriella Piana P10, Wolfgang Triller. Zuber is P13, Maris Nacken, Skoog, Raykopf, etc., etc. But David Kolkman is running in P9. His teammate Nick Yellerly takes the win and does it in commanding style over Dennis Olsen, who takes P2. Mikael Ammermuller is P3, Christian Engelhardt P4. Larry Ten Voorde takes P5 from Christopher Zoechling. It's a fight to the line between Ashkanani and Ryan Cullen, but bear in mind Ryan Cullen has got 5 seconds to be added to his time. Kolkman, Wolf and Piana as the rest of the drivers come through, and Dennis Olsen offers his congratulations to Nick Yellerly. That's nice to see. And there we have it. In challenging conditions, the race done and dusted, and victory for Nick Yellerly then in the number 93 car, who takes the win from Dennis Olsen, P2. Mikael Ammermuller, P3. The rest of the cars are crossing the line now. And here comes Richie Muller through the NGK chicane. Car looking almost as clean and tidy at the end of the race as it did right at the very start. And we'll round the turn to take that P22 position. And pleased that it's completed another race here at the Nürburgring. So, alongside me, Alex Toril, racing driver. Tell me about Ten Voorde and that chicane.
I mean, from the image we saw, and for me it's pretty clear. You usually have track limits, even for the outside, especially when we are racing Porsche. The race direction is pretty clear with us, with the track limits on the outside and the inside, because it's pretty normal, same as you are racing in Monza, Supercars on. They tell us many times you need to take care also of the track limits on the inside of the corner, because with this car you can actually cut a chicane like we saw that Larry Ten Voorde was doing. So obviously they will decide and they will check the video, but definitely you gain an advantage when you cut the chicane in that way, because you drive less meters, and you actually have the cars pointing straighter towards the outside of the corner, so you can have a way better acceleration. And we saw it was pretty easy for him to pass Christopher Zoechling on the outside in the acceleration.
Well, Nick Yellerly, first of all, congratulated by Richard Selwyn, his race engineer. And a confirmation of the results. Yellerly, Olsen, Ammermuller, Engelhardt, Ten Voorde, Zoechling, Zayed Ashkanani, David Kolkman, Tony Wolf, Gabriella Piana. And then with the second page, here's Alex.
We have Ryan Cullen, P12 Wolfgang Triller, Al-Faisal Zubair, Marius Nacken, Henry Skoog, Stefan Raykopf, Schmidt Stade, Carlos Ribas, Philipp Saga, Wolf Nathan. And then from P21 to P25, we have Richie Müller, Pierre-Yves Bach.
And there, once again, is Nick Yellerly taking the checkered flag.
Car number 10, time penalty, 5 seconds, leaving the track, including an advantage. There you go.
Right.
So definitely he will lose his position with Christopher circling, and let me check. No, he will keep P6.
He will keep P6.
I think, yeah, because Ashkanani is 3 seconds behind Soklin. So no, wait.
Quite doing your calculations as we speak, aren't you?
Yeah, you see now he also loses position by half a tenth with Ashkanani, so he's down to P7.
Okay. Well, there's Mikael Ammermuller, who will be up on the podium. And here, super slow-mos of the top 3, taking P3, Mikael Ammermuller. Dennis Olsen, it's P2 for him. And Nick Yellerly, Team Deutsche Post by Project One, takes P1. We await the podium. Of course, there are always 2 podiums, one for the A category, one for the B category of gentlemen drivers. If we have time, we bring you both. Only time will tell. There in the Drivers' A Championship then, Nick Yellerly has squeezed the margin that Dennis Olsen has at the top, but it's still a very comfortable margin for Dennis Olsen. 181 points to 155, Sochling P3 on 119, 6 points ahead of Mikael Ammermuller, who's P4, and Larry ten Voorde, who is P5. So Burkhard Bechtel then, who will be in charge of the podium ceremonies, he's hustling the drivers up behind the podium area. And Franz Conrad, and there you can see to the right-hand side of Franz Conrad, the boss of Project One. And there is his driver, who's done a great job as they're out on the podium now. Mikael Ammermuller, Dennis Olsen, and of course, Nick Yellerly. You were commenting earlier on about the fantastic LED display above the podium, Alex Torrell, as trophy presentations are about to be made as Nick Yellerly receives his trophy and holds that up high. Dennis Olsen then, who still retains a comfortable margin at the top of the points, takes his P2, and the always smiling Franz Conrad. Pretty happy with that. And Mikael Ammermuller, who you don't see smiling very often. I know I've said that before, Alex. I mean, you know him.
I don't know. I mean, I know him, but I don't. This is one of the drivers I didn't have many contact as I was racing the Carrera Cup. So time for the picture. When I get straight behind will come the champagne shower for the 3. Yeah. So let's see who's the first one. Nick Yellerly gets also.
Yeah, I think Nick Yellerly won that race, didn't he? And won the race with the champagne as well. There you can see that new LED screen on top of the podium there. Looks great, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, looks pretty good. The first time I've seen such a background in the podium.
I was going to say, it's certainly far from the first
the
time
the only
the
concern
podium.
is that doesn't get hurt with, with the champagne.
So the drivers make their way off the podium. Then the podium will be readied for the B category drivers. A great shot as we look down at the Yellerly and Amamula cars. And everyone standing by for the B podium. So Richard Selwyn to the left of your picture there, holding Nick Yellerly's helmet. Hans-Bernd Kamps, the boss of the Project One motorsport team, as here comes Wolfgang Triller, always wearing those glasses. Cementing his position in the Drivers' Championship at the top of that. Anthem time. Anthem plays out. And we await the trophy presentations. Here they come. And Wolfgang Triller, whose mantelpiece must be so full of trophies that it's buckling under the weight, I would suggest. Stefan Rakoff and Jon Schmidt-Stade. And another dousing of the champagne to come after the obligatory photographs, of course, have been taken. Next race for the Carrera Cup is tomorrow. And it's 10 minutes longer because it's a 35-minute duration race, and that makes quite a difference, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, definitely. The race tomorrow will be a little bit longer. It always makes a little bit difference with the race on Saturday, especially if tomorrow we have dry condition and warmer temperatures. Then this makes a main difference on the behavior of the tires, and then you have also some points to take a little bit care of the tires and don't push too much.
Yes.
But this we will see tomorrow. But I'm really sure with the grid we have and the performance we saw today, we will have a really exciting race.
I'm sure you're right. And looking forward to that already. Race number 2 to come from the Carrera Cup Deutschland tomorrow. And then the guys, they've not got much rest, to be honest, because in a week's time they'll be racing at the Sachsenring. Very different circuit to the Nürburgring, it has to be said, and whole different challenge as we look at the top 3 once again. This is Mikael Ammermuller, who took the P3 place. At that point, he was ahead of Dennis Olsen, as you can see in that particular replay. P2 went the way of Dennis Olsen. And, of course, the winner, Nick Yellerly. Here are the highlights. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.